doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. I am so honored to have with me today Pamela Lue-Hing and Vernita White-Dean. How are you ladies today?
Doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Doing well. And
doing
Pamela,
great.
how are you over there?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
I'm so glad to have both of you on today. And equally, I'm glad to have you all in the virtual studio audience. I know you're grabbing your virtual seats. So if you would, just let us know where you're visiting in from today as well. We'd like to just acknowledge you and your comments, your questions, things that may be running through your head today regarding a very important topic. I specifically blocked out this week as we are going into some topics that I really think are necessary for us to cover. And today we're going to be talking about dementia, Alzheimer's, and how it can really impact a family and especially caregivers. And these two individuals here today are caregivers that cared for their loved ones, and I want to make sure that you get to hear their stories and their journey. I'm going to put the link. And now, obviously, on the audio podcast, those that are listening on iHeart, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all of that, then you can't get on the link. But I do want to put this link here for you guys in case anybody wants to come into the broadcast. So if you're interested in popping on, you will have to show your camera, and I'll allow you to have like a head-to-head conversation with these two willing volunteers that's here to share their stories today. Is that fair? All right. I'm assuming you're saying yes in the studio audience, so I'm right. All right. So as we get started, I want to introduce, and your story, Vernita, it's interesting because a lot of your bio has your story and your journey in it. So I really don't want to go into that. I really want to give you the opportunity to share your story. But I will say that in 2012, Vernita White-Dean's life changed forever. And her life changed in a way that catapulted her into what she did and ultimately does with her family members. And her mom and dad, she's going to be sharing quite a bit about their journey and how impactful their journey was. And again, I'm not going to share the details because it would just kind of be a spoiler alert. I hate when people spoil stuff like that. But there are some things that she noticed in this journey, and she's going to be sharing those in great detail. And I know that she has a daughter named Aubrey because her daughter, Aubrey, received a Gabe's Heart Award when she was like 9 years old, and she's now 18 years old. So I do know that she has a daughter. Tell us, if you will, Vernita, more about your bio that I wouldn't have had here. So just tell us a little bit about yourself so people know.
So I am a native Charlottean, and I'm sure, we're like unicorns, but born and raised right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm the youngest of four, and grew up in a loving household, both parents. My father was a minister. And so growing up, we were taught, and it was instilled in us to serve others. Like, that's how we grew up, serving others, no matter what that looked like. My parents were firm believers, and we're blessed to be a blessing. And so growing up, that was instilled in me. And at the time, I don't think I really appreciated it as much as I do now, and instilling that in my daughter. But so you talked about 2012. I'm going to back up a little bit to 2010.
Well, yeah, I don't want you to go into your story yet.
Okay.
I didn't have your formal like business bio thing. Like I have Pamela's because I've been dealing with Pamela many years. So I have her coaching bio. But just from a bio perspective, you're married, single? Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about you.
So married. It was 19 years in September.
Okay.
Richard, and you mentioned we have an 18-year-old daughter. We also have a 5-year-old dog that thinks he's a human. His name is Milo, and Milo has a full name. Milo's full name is Milo Bigglesworth Dean. And
Bigglesworth?
yes, we can thank Richard for that middle name. But so um, so married, have a daughter, and my background is in accounting. So have my
Okay.
bachelor's, master's in accounting, and for several years did accounting for small businesses, and I still do it somewhat for. I have one client that I still do it, but I know we'll get into it later. But as my mom's disease progressed and the needs increased, I had to decide what I was going to do with myself. And
Mm,
so I kind of transitioned more to a full-time caregiver. So that
okay.
was what I did for better of almost 10 years, was being her full-time caregiver.
Well, now I can, because I have one bio that you gave me that includes everything about your mom and your dad. So I didn't want to say that because then it would prevent, this from happening. But now that I have this information, we have here with us Vernita White Dean, who has focused primarily in her career in accounting. And as an accountant, she had to make some really critical decisions as to what that transition would look like when it came to caring for her mom, who ultimately had dementia, Alzheimer's. So we're going to talk more about that. She is a wife, married to Richard, and she is also a mother of Aubrey and Milo Bigglesworth. Dean. So this is who's here with us today, and I'm quite honored to have you here on the show. So I wanted to give you kind of like a formal introduction. Thank you for being here today,
Thank
Vernita.
you.
And
Thank you.
Dayron says, good morning, ladies. Glad to have you, Dayron. I see you, Yolanda
Mhm.
Walker, as well. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. You all invite people into the broadcast. I also want to introduce our guest that's also here today, Pamela Lue-Hing, better known as Coach P. And the reason I know she's Coach P is because she's coached me in different regards as well. So she's been a coach for more than 12 years and has over 30 years of experience in entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal and program development. She specializes specifically in women coaches and helping them find their voices and their stories and helping them to package things in a program that she's certified through, which is the DISC training. So these are things that you're going to learn more about from even Pamela today, but she has the multiple publications, 9 to be specific, and book series that you'll be able to connect with more throughout the broadcast as well. And I call her mom because she calls her mom. So her mom is Velma Wilson, and we're going to learn more about her and their journey together in today's episode. Welcome, Pamela.
So glad to be here, Kim. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So what we're going to do today is really deep dive into dementia. And I was looking on some of the statistics, and these are alarming. I didn't know these statistics until I did the research. But let's just talk about it. From the World Health Organization, currently more than 55 million people have dementia. Did you already know this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, because you're dealing with it. So you had to deep dive into it. 55 million people worldwide, and over 60% of whom live in low and middle income countries. Every year, there are nearly 10 million new cases. So this is like the 7th leading cause of death amongst the people globally. This is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So when you all are being told that dementia is going to come to your home, I really want us to, like you say, take a moment and go back with you, Vernita, first, and talk to us about 2010. I think you wanted to go back to, and then we're gonna hear some of your story right after this commercial break. Is that okay?
That's wonderful.
Okay, so we'll start with you and take us back to where you need us to go, and we'll go from there. We'll be right back, everyone, right after this break.
Why learn about health? when you can experience it? Experience it in beautiful Florida in February 2024. Join us for 3 days of integrative and intensive health and healing education and empowerment with the expertise of the following Healthopedia author, speaker, and facilitators. The world-renowned homeopath and acupuncture physician, Dr. James Marinakis, 4-decade health coach and holistic nutritionist, Dr. Joe D. Bear, and others such as Kimberly Meredith, Dame Doria Cordova, Rex Sykes, Dr. Gary Sanchez, Jamie Kerr, Serena Brown-Travis, and more. Experience daily morning walking and yoga, interactive participation, panel discussions, and more for your own epiphany of health. Get your tickets now.
Right. We're back and we're talking with Pamela Lue-Hing and Vernita White-Dean. Vernita, take us back on your journey regarding your mom.
Okay, so in 2010, December of 2010, my father passed away. And my parents had been married for 52 years at that point. And my mother was actually my father's caregiver. My father had a heart transplant back in, when did he have the transplant? He had the new heart for almost 11 years. So count back 11 years. But my mother was his primary caregiver. And when my father passed away in 2010, she did not want to live alone. And so the option was my husband, and my daughter was 5 at the time, would move in with her. And so we moved in with her in February of 2011. And now, mind you, I talked to my parents every single day and never really noticed any changes in my mom until we moved in with her, and I was with her 24 hours a day. And I started noticing just little quirks with her, nothing alarming, but just little things, forgetting where her keys were, or, and you just kind of chalk that up to normal aging. I forget where my keys are sometimes. Right. So, just little things like that. And then it got to the point where she started accusing me of stealing. And I was like, first of all, you don't have much for me to steal. So, but, it just started little things like that. And so I called her primary care physician. And I will stress, my parents had the same primary care physician for decades, and they had a wonderful relationship. And I had actually met him several times throughout my father's journey with his heart transplant. So we had a good relationship. And I called him and talked to him and let him know what was going on. And he listened to me. You have to make sure your primary care listens to you. He listened to me. We talked at length. He said, bring her in. So I brought her in. And at first he said, well, let's just kind of wait. Your parents were married for 52 years. This is a huge life change for her. So let's just wait and see. And so as the months went by and I kept, seeing things, and I called him back and let him know, hey, it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. Mm-hmm. So he called back and said, let's get her into a neurologist. February of 2012, we had the appointment with the neurologist, and they did a battery of tests and came back and let us know that she was in early stages of Alzheimer's.
Okay. Let me stop you for 1 minute, if you don't mind. What I'm hearing is that your mom was gradually showing signs and symptoms, but they were just signs and symptoms that you thought any of us could have at any age, not just because of her age or potential diagnosis that was yet to come. Mm-hmm. It was just stuff that you saw. This is a little off, but what? You accusing me of stealing? That's different. But when you say it sparked you to call the doctor, what was that final determining moment that made you say, I need to check with her doctor?
Well, like I said, once she started accusing me of stealing,
okay,
I didn't have access to her accounts. So there was, in my mind, I'm like, first of all, I don't have access to your accounts because she was still very independent at that time. She was still driving, still handling her banking, still doing everything, her normal day-to-day activities. She was still doing all of that. And it just caught me totally off guard when she accused me of stealing. And so I knew then that this was more than just my father passing away and normal aging. I knew then that there was something else going on.
And that's very intuitive of you, because at the end of the day, with your dad, who had already been married to her for 52 years, and I can't speak for everyone, but anybody I would know would automatically assume it was a grieving process of her now being separated from her lifelong partner. So for you to do that is just brilliant, in my opinion, that God would give you that gift to really hone in on the fact that this might be something medically related.
Right, right. And
Okay.
and I let people know, even if you don't think it's Alzheimer's or any form of dementia, if your loved one is showing signs of something that you think is out of the ordinary, go ahead, talk to their doctor, get a neurologist involved, or whatever you need to do, because the sooner you find out whether it is or whether it isn't, you can put an action plan in place as soon as you find out what you're dealing with.
That's good. So if your loved one shows signs, I'm reading because I'm typing here too, signs of something out of the ordinary, then check into it with just check into it is what you're
Right,
saying.
right.
Okay. But sometimes, because they have their own physicians, like you've already, and Pam, you're definitely able to chime into whatever we're talking about regarding her. We're going to ultimately give you the space as well. But if somebody already has their physicians and you don't necessarily know who to chime in with, what advice would you give to people like that? Because you had relationship with your 52 years of your doctor being the parent, the provider for your parents. So you knew them on a first name basis type of thing.
Mhm.
But not everybody knows that. So what advice would you all give to people?
Ask those questions. Sit down with your mother, sit down with your grandmother, sit down with your husband and ask those questions. Who is your primary care? What is the phone number? What is the portal? Whatever it is, find out those. I mean, just sit down and have that conversation. And, a lot of times we don't like to have those necessary conversations, but we have to have those conversations.
That's good. So everybody that's watching, I see a lot of your comments coming in. We're going to do a flash round of comments so we can keep the show going here. But I do want you to take note. If your loved one shows signs of something, talk to your parents and do exactly what's being advised here today. Any other feedback on that?
No, just like I said, have those tough conversations, and your parents may blow you off. Oh, there's nothing wrong with me. You're being overprotective. You're being overbearing, but still have those conversations.
Okay, that's really good. So, Carrie, tell us some more about when you 2010, they were married for 52 years. You started getting accused of stealing, check with the doctor. They got you into the neurologist, or your mom into the neurologist. And then what happened?
So, diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I had no clue what I was supposed to do with that diagnosis. I know growing up, when we heard Alzheimer's, we just thought people forgot stuff. That's what I thought Alzheimer's was. People
Right.
just forget stuff. Oh, there's a whole lot more to Alzheimer's than just forgetting stuff.
Right.
It is a progressive chronic disease, which means there's no cure for it. As it progresses, their needs for care increase. And so it's a progressive disease. And my mom, averages are different. If you meet one person with Alzheimer's, you've met one person with Alzheimer's. Now there's an average of how long they live after diagnosis, but a lot of that depends on their physical well-being, their mental well-being, how they're being cared for. So a lot of that goes into play. But again, it's a chronic illness. There's no cure for it. So we just had to prepare and find out the resources that were out there. I had no idea what an adult daycare was before my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Okay.
It's just things like that that you have to find out that help make the journey easier for you as a caregiver, and
Okay.
also for the person that is living with that disease, because it's new territory for her as well as new territory for me. I mean, in the
Okay.
beginning, she knew that there was something going on with her, but just
Okay.
couldn't quite pinpoint. So, you have to think about the two of you all coming together, trying to figure this thing out.
Mhm.
And she knows that there's something going on with her.
Mhm.
So, we just had to work together. My husband was very helpful. I have siblings. I have a brother and a sister here in town. You just have to reach out and ask for help and figure out what needs to be done at what stage, and just do it.
That's really good advice that you're sharing. And at whatever phase you ask for the help and you get the help, especially if you have siblings, which sounds like they're willing to help as well. And so we're going to talk more about your mom throughout today's broadcast as well. We're going to take a commercial break and come back. And Pamela, I would like to hear more about Miss Velma and your journey with your mom right when we come back right after this commercial break. And I see all of your comments. We're going to get them. Yeah. Are back. We're back here on the Kim Jacobs Show. We're talking with Pamela Lue-Hing and Vernita White Dean, sharing their stories about how they're caring for their moms during dealing with dementia, which actually dementia is the overarching disease, but Alzheimer's is about 60 to 70 or so cases that are under the umbrella of dementia. So, Pamela, I see. Don't put anybody up, Mackenzie, until I see the camera and I make a decision as to whether they're going to come on. Okay. So you have to show your camera. High day. Go ahead and show your camera. If you don't show your camera, we can't pop you on the screen. Okay. But in the meantime, Pamela, you can go ahead and get started just talking about your journey as well.
So it was about 3 o'clock in the morning back in 2013 or 14, and I got a phone call. Thank God I was actually sitting. I had fallen asleep in the chair. The television was on because I don't know how I would have felt had I been lying down in a deep slumber. But it was my mom, and I was here in Charlotte. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My mom was in Detroit, and she said, I failed, and I burned my head. Well, she had those old radiators, those old radiators in the house, and she had passed out. And when she was in the bathroom on the toilet, and her head, when she passed out, her head hit the radiator, and that's where she burned her head. And so we got family there. They got her to the hospital, and at that time, Carrington was in grade school. My son I believe he was in college about that time. And so I drove through the night. I said, hey, you got to take my baby. I don't know how long I'm going to be gone, but I got to go. I got to get to mama. And so when I got there, what we found was her cardiologist and her primary care doctors were not communicating. And they over-medicated her with blood pressure medicines. Mm-hmm. This threw her into a dementia-like state where it was like full blown. I mean, like she would go into a room and forget how to get to the next room. And so I brought her back to convalesce, and she stayed with us for about 30 days. And then I said, Mommy, it's probably about that time that you come and be with us. And so we put her house on the market, got some of her things, and we came back to Charlotte. And so she was with us about 3 months. And so one day I came home and Mommy was giving her credit card number over the phone. And I said, Mom, who are you giving your credit card number to? She says, the Greyhound. I'm going back home. I said, Mama, you can't go back home. No, I'm going back, but I'm going to stay with my sister. With her sister was like 2 doors down from the house.
Right.
And I knew she wasn't going to do that for too long. And so she did. I put her back on the Greyhound. And at that point, she seemed to be pretty stabilized. And so she went back to Detroit, and I would call her every day. Mama, what you doing? Oh, I'm just cleaning the house, her house. I'm just cleaning, but I'm going back down to my sister's, Aunt May Alice. Wow. And eventually, it didn't take not even a week. She was back in the house and staying in the house. And, she lived in a very dangerous area in Detroit where we grew up with bars and guns and, lots of activity going on. And so I was really nervous for her, right? But I knew that I had to let it go. And she was very angry with me during that time that she was here because it was almost like it was forced, right? Mm-hmm. And she wasn't ready. And so I just prayed and I said, God, when you are ready, then you do it, but I'm taking my hands off of this. And so fast forward in 2017, it was right after, 6 months after I cared for my ex-husband, and he passed away of cancer, prostate cancer. And I got a call again from my mom. She was in the hospital yet again. And I drove through the night to get to her. And when I walked in, she told the nurse, hey, I told you she was coming. I told you she was coming. I said, Mommy, what's going on? She says, they're trying to put me in a nursing home. And I said, what's happening? And so again, it was blood pressure medicines. She was unstabilized and they were threatening to put her in a nursing home. They said she can no longer stay alone. And she says, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I want to sell my house. I'm going back with you to Charlotte. And I just started praising the Lord. And so I helped sell her home. She knew exactly who she wanted to sell her home to. And then we moved her here. So she's been with us since February of 2017.
And so she convinced you, I put that in the comments here, she convinced you to let her go back to Detroit. But she did it under the auspices of, hey, I'm going to go live with my sister. And she got me. She only 2 doors down. So just get me on the Greyhound. We good. We lockstep sisters. But when she got there, she really ended up doing her own thing and going back into her home. And ultimately, the physicians intervened because they said that she can't be by herself. Is that how you found out that she had this dementia?
So how we found out that she had dementia when she was here, even during that time, I thought it was the medication. So again, blood pressure medications can wreak havoc on the body.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it had her in a really tough state. So in 2017, when we got her here, I noticed sometimes that she would forget again, like if she woke up, she was very disoriented.
Okay.
When she would awake, and like she'd be laying maybe on the couch and, well, Mommy, you want to go to bed? Well, how do I get there? And so I take her to the stairs. And, Mommy, there's the stairs. And I, take her to the stairs. Okay, well, what do I do next? And so we ended up going to a neurologist, and the neurologist had, taken all these tests, and they put her through the assessment to determine, I guess, the level, if it was Alzheimer's, what type of dementia, I guess, the type. And so they came back and said that she was in the early stages of dementia. And so that's kind of how the process began. And we've just been, dealing with it ever since. And there was another instance where when we were at the neurologist, they found blockages in the base of her brain. And the blockages in the base of her brain were like 70% occluded one artery. The other one was like 60-some% occluded. And I said, okay, so what does this mean? Mm-hmm. And they said, well, anything could happen at any time. She could have a stroke. She could die at any given time. So mommy and I walked out of that doctor's office, and that's when she was really aware. And I prayed over my mom. And first of all, 3 days we walked around in the fog, both she and I. It was here in Charlotte, and the Lord led me to get into bed with her, and I held her, and I held her, and I prayed over her, and I said, "Mommy, I don't know what that doctor just said, but we're not gonna worry about it. We're gonna live every day to the fullest, no matter what." And so that's what we've been doing. And so I thought, well, maybe some of the dementia is coming from the blockages, not knowing. They talked about doing surgery, and we went to several different specialists, and I decided, Mommy, we can't do that to you. So God has got us, right? God has got us. And so we've been blessed, and my mom is not on any medications. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, she was on 22 medications, 11 in the morning, 11 at night. And she had gotten into a really bad state where it looked like she had become lethargic, and like she was leaving here. And it was during the height of the pandemic, and I couldn't take her to the emergency room. I was afraid to get her to the hospital, and didn't want the EMS coming in the house. And and so I called. I had been working with an iridologist, Dr. Lamar Price, and so I called him and I said, "Hey, you got to help." And so he said, "Send me your mother's pictures." They take pictures of the eyes, and you send them the pictures of her eyes. And he said, "Your mother is totally toxic. That's what's wrong with her. And we need to take her off everything cold turkey." And, I had been working with him for the past year. And so I was in a great state. I had gotten off all my medications. And so I said, "Okay, I'm willing to do it, but you got to stay by the phone." So he did.
24/7. When I call, answer.
I need to be there.
Right.
And so he did that. And within 48 hours, my her skin had returned back to normal. She was feeling better. She looked better. And do you know that she has not been on any medication since that time? And that's since 2020. And so we follow his regimen, and I'm so thankful to God for that.
Now, just a disclaimer, and I know, Mackenzie, you'll pop this comment up. The views expressed are obviously that of us as individuals. That's including me as the host. So they do not always reflect that of the show or any of the different contracted places that we stream our show into different countries as well. So this is their personal experience that has proven to be very beneficial for their family. Wow. So she became like a new person, toxic free and all of that. Wow. So what did that do pertaining to how she's been dealing with the dementia?
So I'm thankful that, health-wise, she's great. The only thing we deal with occasionally is she will pass out. She has syncope issues. And so that's, it happens periodically. And then when she comes to, we're good. Right. And we've got to make sure that she drinks enough water, because a lot of our elderly, they don't drink enough, enough fluids in them, enough water. She gets dehydrated, and then that happens. But the dementia has been getting progressive. It's been declining. Right. So things like, she's in the kitchen and she's washing dishes, and I'll say, "Mommy, you can put that over there on the counter." And she says, "Where is it?" Or you'll say, "Put something on the stove." "Well, where is it?" And she's standing right there.
Okay.
So every day is something different. And so that's why I'm so thankful for the Frankie May Foundation for the support, because Vernita was blessed that she had her siblings. I'm blessed because I have people around me, and I'm blessed because now I have the Frankie May Foundation, but I am my mother's only child. And so 24/7 is me. And I have to work between my mom and my business. And, I can't just say I can't do my business right now. I've got to keep both going. And
we're going to talk about that in the second half as well, of how you all are balancing different aspects of your lives. So that's very important to discuss, because you still have to live your life, but you also still are caregiving for your mom in your case, and your foundation with your mom in your case, Vernita. So when we come back after this commercial break, we're going to just learn. But let me do this. I would love to just take a moment and see some of the comments that's been coming in for this first half. Give you all a chance if you want to address any of them. If you all have questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments section. And we're going to take a moment to acknowledge some of them right now. Let's see. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories at this point regarding both of your moms. And we're going to learn a lot more from you all. I see you, Yolanda. Yolanda said, good morning. Daron said, good morning, ladies. Hey, Pamela, Lue-Hing, and Vernita. Stephanie is saying, enjoying hearing your journey, ladies. Thank you all. Carol Davis says, good morning. My mom says, praying, believing, living life to the fullest is exactly what we need to do daily in order to make it through this life. Yes.
Yes, amen.
Okay, Carol says, good morning, everyone. Can I join in with you? RH Hyrador says, hey, can I join in with you, ma'am? The answer is yes, RH, but we need you to show your camera. And so I see that you're coming backstage and I welcome you and I'm grateful for you, but just show your camera. Okay, let's see who else is on here. And see lots of people that have just been commenting. I don't want to miss any of your comments. You can keep them coming in throughout today and we will go through and get them actually here with my parents preparing their lunch now. So Stephanie is caregiving for her parents as well. A lot of people that will watch this episode or are tuned in now are caregivers for parents. What tip, just give it like at least one or two tips on how you recommend, whether they have dementia or not, to care for an aging parent. Any tip from you, Vernita, and then you, Pam?
So my thing is take care of yourself, whatever that looks like, whatever makes you happy. It could be getting up 5 minutes earlier during the day and having a cup of coffee and sitting out on the porch, or taking a walk around the block. Whatever it is, take some time for yourself outside of caregiving, because you have to be 100% before you can take care of somebody else. So self-care, take care of yourself.
And I'm glad you said that, because actually when I was reading some of your notes, you say you can't pour from an empty cup, and that's your whole theory. And so elaborate just for a second on that.
So, and it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You don't have to go on this week-long cruise or anything like that. Just like I said, it could be something simple. One of the things that I like to do that I've gotten hooked on lately is seek and find puzzles. I can sit and just do a seek and find puzzle and it calms me. Not that I'm caring for my mother right now, but just life in general is so hectic. I take time out of my day to sit and do a seek and find. And I might only do it for 15 or 20 minutes, but that's 15 or 20 minutes that I've poured into myself to rejuvenate myself so that I can go out here and be a mother and be a wife and run a nonprofit and be a friend. But I have to take care of myself first before I can do any of those other things that are on my plate.
That's really good. And your advice, Pam, and I do see some more comments coming in as well.
So one of the challenges is that with dementia, it's my mom. It's the woman who raised me. Yes. And so giving her, allowing her that authority, her to still have that authority and still have some of her independence, right? So whatever it is she wants to do or whatever the case may be, still treat her that way, right? Allow her to do that. Allow her to make her decisions where she's not harming herself, of course. But then the flip side to that is the next moment, it's like a child again. And that's probably one of the most challenging. So remembering that patience is of the utmost importance. And then always putting your loved one around loving environments that are not, that they feel safe. You know, they just want to feel safe. They want to feel loved like a child in a sense.
I can feel the passion and the compassion coming through your voice, because that's something that when no one else is watching, nobody's watching, but you are there with your mommy and knowing that she birthed you, she gave her all to you. And now it's your responsibility, or by choice, because it doesn't have to be your responsibility, that you want her to have comfort. I'm so honored to hear both of you all in this moment, because anybody listening and watching today know that you have the most the most respect and reverence for your mom. That just speaks volumes. I know you from eWomen Network and a Powerhouse Emoji, all of this business stuff. But what you saying here today, it just gives me so much respect and adoration for you, what you're saying about your mom. I just want to take a moment and just acknowledge that. So thank you for being here, Pamela, for that. That's a different connection that we have outside of some business stuff and books. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Okay, some here. Sexy Scorpio said, my mother has dementia. My dad is 80 with health concerns. I need help. So there are people that are watching today that genuinely need you. You can't just talk from a book about this stuff. How do they connect with you? Let me pull up how they can connect with you. We're going to talk some more, but I just want to know, tell people, Vernita, how they can connect with you, please.
So thank you, Kim, for putting all of our information on the bottom of the screen. And I guess we'll talk a little bit more about what the Frankie May Foundation is all about. And it's named in
100%.
honor of my mom, passed away with Alzheimer's in September of 2020. And so I started the nonprofit, and our main thing is caring for the caregiver. We have resources available, we have networking available. It's just a huge community of caregivers coming together and being that support system and being that village and just being there for each other during this caregiving journey, because it's rewarding, but it can also be lonely. It can be frustrating. It is your range of emotions when you're caregiving. You can go from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds flat. And you just need that support system. You need someone you can talk to. You need someone that'll just listen, someone just to be there. So that's what the Frankie May Foundation is in essence. And we can get into a little bit more. But, is it Sexy Scorpio? If she's in Charlotte, please reach out to us. And
do they need to be in Charlotte, or can it be virtual too? I know I'm interrupting,
so
but I need to
we have caregiver chats, which are virtual twice a month. But then also, depending on what state you're in or what city you're in, we also will reach out to the Department of Social Services in your area and find out what resources are available for you. So if you're in Charlotte and you want to join us in person, thank you. If you're in another part of the country, we will do some legwork for you to help you find the resources to help you in this journey.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. So no matter where you are, they can give you some type of insight to resources. And as Vernita just shared, in 2020, her mom transitioned from this earth. I would love to hear more about, did you all kind of know that this was coming to an that her time on this earth was coming to an end with dealing with dementia? Because a lot of people dealing with parents with dementia, but you don't know that the end is coming, or do you? I don't know. Can you address that?
Yeah, so at the the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we started noticing a real change in continent, not eating as much, losing weight. You'll start noticing a huge decline. And then, and I know some people freak out when they hear hospice and palliative care.
Yes.
Do not be afraid of hospice and palliative care. It is another resource for you. It is another set of eyes on you and your loved one. So we had hospice and palliative care to come on board at the beginning of 2020. And the hospice team was wonderful. They let us know each step of the way. She started doing this or she stopped doing that. And as we got closer and closer, they let us know things to look for, when it was going to be time, when she was actively in the dying process. So hospice was there all along the way. And as prepared as we could be, hospice was there to prepare us. And we knew going in what we were looking at with the transition phase.
So hospice, just so I visualize, they're able to, I know because I've dealt with it with my dad, not regarding dementia, but they're able to say like, well, you have approximately a week, or they give a time frame.
Yes.
Is that what they do with people with dementia
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're able to call family in and
yes.
say, and this may be a weird question, but with this particular disease, it's no cure for it. So you don't know that until you start seeing these little signs. And some of the things that they say, I was reading on this, and the World Health Organization, which I'll put that in the comments, it says age is an increased risk of developing high blood pressure, high blood sugar, being overweight and obese. This is just regular stuff that people go through. Drinking too much alcohol, that's alcoholism. Being physically inactive, that's just sedentary. So it's like being socially isolated, depressed. What? How do you think that this stuff is linked to dementia? So I just want to hear your feedback on that for a second, both of you.
So a lot of it had, you talked about high blood pressure, diabetes. A lot of those things are affecting the heart. And so the heart pumps blood throughout the body. The brain is part of the body. So when your heart isn't working correctly, it's not able to pump blood to all parts of your body, and your brain is being deprived daily when you have high blood pressure, when you have diabetes, or any other, when you're not active physically, when you're not eating correctly. A lot of that has to do with your heart physically, but it affects your brain as well. And dementia is a disease of the brain. So that's the connection with all those illnesses and how it pertains to dementia.
Wow. Any additional comment, Pamela?
I was going to say diet is so important because, I'm so grateful to God that mommy doesn't have any health, quote unquote, health, illnesses, right? It's just all cognitive. But I will tell you the focus on eating healthy, cutting out sugars, white foods, eating vegetables and fruit, preparing foods instead of eating out a lot. No white sugar at all, white potatoes, things like that. Can make a difference, because one of the focuses that we have is that, mommy and I, we got to eat healthy because we got to have our health, because we have other challenges, right? So my heart goes out to those who are caring for those who have dementia and they have health challenges on top of that, right? Yes. So one of the ways that they can really focus to perhaps make a change is the diet. What are they allowing them to eat? What are they bringing in the house? Because if they don't bring in the house, they won't eat it, right?
That's a good point.
Okay.
Wow.
And Kim, I wanted to point this out too. When you were talking about high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that, we hadn't talked about this, and we could talk about this in a whole nother episode, but Black and brown people are twice as likely as our white counterparts to be diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's.
Yes, so, that's one here.
Yeah. So, I encourage us to be a step ahead and to do the things like Pam talked about, your diet and your exercise and being diligent, going to those physicals every year. I know you might not want to, but keep up on your health. We're already, it's already affecting us more than it's affecting others. So be proactive and do what you can to let's figure out how to wipe this out.
That's right. Good advice. And I'm not going to take any more commercial breaks right this second, because I want to hear some of your own personal journey going forward. But I do want to put a picture of you and your mom, Miss Velma Wilson. And look at the beauty. It just rubbed right off on you. Tell us about this
Thank
picture.
God. So this was our photo shoot that we did in 2022. And, mommy was so, she's just the life of the party wherever she goes, right? But, many people say, well, you just have your mom, she's out, you do things with her. Yes, I have to. And, it's all about those memories. So mommy may not remember this moment, but it's about that moment that matters. And so that's my whole focus. And so we had our photo shoot, and we had a ball with mommy. She danced a little bit, she cut up, but then it was time to go. She said, it's time to go. Here we are in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Last year, mommy and I left Alabama on November 19, 2022, and we took 2 months. We didn't get back to Alabama until January 10th. 2 months of traveling in the car, just the two of us, from Georgia to Baton Rouge to San Antonio. Here we are in San Antonio. We went to Phoenix. We went to LA, Vegas, visiting family. This is her cousin, and so some people say, well, did she remember those people? It doesn't matter if she remembers people or not. What matters is the love that they give her. And yes, she did remember her cousin, and she remembered her aunt. I don't know if you have the one with her aunt, which is my grandmother's sister. She is just a few years older than my mom, but she hadn't seen her in years. And so just to get in a car with her and just drive and create memories. And that's really what it's all about for me. It's about the memories.
Well, I have lots of pictures, so I'm going to put them in and I'll pop them back in a second. Let me go to you, Vernita, and tell us about your mom, Miss Frankie.
So, when Pam is talking about memories, I always say the last 7 months of my mom's life, we were right in the thick of COVID. And so from March of 2020 to September of 2020, we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. So we would get in my Jeep and we would ride around every Sunday. We would just ride a loop around 485. And she had the best time just with the windows down in the Jeep. And the four of us would get in. And that was our thing on Sundays. We would just ride around, going nowhere in particular. But I vividly remember doing that and sitting on the porch and sitting in the garage and just laughing and talking and just having a good time with her. So yeah, Pam, those memories. And, I look back on my phone and look at videos and look at pictures of her. And that's what it's all about. And that picture, Kim, of me with my blonde hair.
You're looking cute.
Thank you. I had just gotten my hair dyed the day before that. And at this point, Mama really did not know that I was her daughter. I was a familiar face. I was with her all the time, but she just did not know that I was her daughter. And I didn't think she would even notice my hair. And right before we took that picture, she looked at me. She said, your hair color is so pretty. It looks so pretty on you. And that just did something to me because she had no clue who I was, but she noticed.
She just was complimenting.
Yeah, she noticed that something was different about my hair that day than it was the day before. So yeah, it's all about creating those memories.
Well, this hopefully has been very inspiring to you all that are watching. I have a few more pictures to put up. Pam, tell me.
Yeah, this is again in Las Cruces, New Mexico, at our cousin's home. And this is the one where where is it? In California. I can't remember the city there, but that's her aunt. So this is my grandmother's sister. I had never met her, but I knew her because we talk all the time. So I'd never met my aunt and her daughter standing next to her, who is her only daughter, caring for her mom. And she has dementia as well. But to watch my mother try to care for her aunt, do you see her holding her arm? And so she was trying to help her sit, help her walk. And it was just so precious. And this is a good friend of my mom, that my mom had known for over 55 years. And we got a chance to see her in Baton Rouge. Do you
That
see
is
the
so.
happiness of my mom, And so it's just really all about those memories. And so, I just want to encourage people out there, if you know of a caregiver, be kind to that caregiver. And so many times, you look and you watch things and you say, okay, well, why are they doing that? And you question the caregiver in terms of why they do certain things. But the real truth is, you don't know until you walk in the shoes.
Amen.
And you make decisions based on, prayerfully you make decisions, right? So we pray, we do the best we can in making those decisions, but just being kind to the caregivers. And the best way to be kind is to, if you have a question, ask them directly.
Yes.
What can they do to, what can you do to help them? Because if you're not asking them, then you're hurting them.
That's
right.
right. Thank you for that. This is just a very information filled session, and I'm really grateful. I see it's such a mystery. There are times when my mom's memory was so sharp. This is Vicki L. Evans, and she's one of our Freestyle Friday experts, and we call her the expert with many hats because she's written multiple books about knowing your worth and suicide prevention. She's also a playwright, and you name it. This woman wears a lot of hats. And she said her memory was so sharp. Wait a minute. I want to go back to that comment. Okay. Her mom's memory was so sharp. And then in an instant, she would have a memory loss. Some days I had the mommy I knew, and other days not so. Is that the case?
Every day. You just
Yes.
don't know what you're getting. It's a mixed bag.
Beautiful moms, Carol said. Deron said, making new memories. I see you, Cotton, and thank you for being here. Sexy Scorpio says, I appreciate you all so much for this platform. You all are doing an amazing job. Zandra says, as a caregiver, Pam, wait a minute. With good, it's okay. It's a whole, wait a minute. I got to read that paragraph. It's such a delicate balance. Perfect. Okay, let me pop that up. Lisa, thank you so much for your comment here. But thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your journey. It's not an easy one, but with good support and self-care, you can make it through. Pamela, I love the videos that you share about your mom on your page. It's such a delicate balance to keep them independent and caring for their needs. You do an amazing job watching your mom fold clothes with so much special. It was so special to see. Vernita, I am so impressed with how you are inspired by your mom to help others, because Vernita, you starting your foundation of the Fannie Mae Foundation is something your mom now is no longer here on this earth, and you're doing that in her honor and her memory. So say something about that. We're going to go a few minutes longer, y'all, because this was a whole episode about caregiving, but I need you to hear about their business life too for a minute. Thank you for this today. Sexy Scorpio said, talk to us about the Fannie Mae Foundation, please.
So, my mother passed away in September 2020, and spending almost 10 years of my life and my identity was her caregiver. And when she passed away, trying to figure out what next. So, I'm married. Yeah, I have a daughter, and I need to focus on them now, but there was still a void.
Yes.
And that void was caregiving. I still wanted to be a caregiver, but I couldn't be a caregiver to my mother. So I'm like, there are so many caregivers out there that don't know about the resources that are out there, don't have the community that I had. So I started the nonprofit in memory of my mom to help other caregivers. And it's a nonprofit. So we have program services, and our main program service is we have a monthly meetup. And at that monthly meetup, it's in person. We have a speaker to come and talk about different aspects of caregiving. It could be your financials, being prepared financially for being a caregiver, insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance, those things, resources through the county. And so we have a speaker, we have a catered lunch, because caregivers, that's one less thing for them to worry about is cooking or finding something to eat. We provide lunch, and then we also do a fun activity. because a lot of times caregivers are too exhausted to do something fun. They feel guilty doing something fun. So we do a fun activity and we have such a good time. I call it, it's our monthly meetup, but I call it our family reunion because we've turned into a big family. And during the meetups, we have a caregiver store. The caregivers can come and they can get incontinence supplies, they can get toiletries, like rinse-free body wash, body wipes, toothpaste, toothbrushes, anything like that that'll make their caregiving journey easier. Because I don't know if you all have price depends and how much they cost.
Yes, girl,
Okay.
it'd be some expensive packages. I'm like, what?
Yes.
But
So
they're necessary in different regards with your family
yeah,
members.
so we have everything in our caregiver store is free. It was either donated or we got a grant through United Way. So we use a lot of the funds to buy things, and the caregivers can actually just come and shop for free. We've also partnered with other nonprofit agencies. We're a referring partner with Loaves and Fishes.
Mm.
So our caregivers and everyone in their household can get free grocery delivery through Loaves and Fishes as being part of the foundation. We've partnered with Village Heartbeat. Our caregivers and anyone in their family can get free mental health therapy services. So we're not just about the physical aspect of the caregiving, it's the emotional, the physical, the spiritual. It's a holistic approach to caregiving. And I'm just so thankful and so honored to be a part of these caregivers' lives. And I was telling Pam and I had lunch a couple of weeks ago at her house, and I was just telling her, it is just as therapeutic for me now starting this foundation because I get so much out of being around the caregivers and meeting their loved ones and being able to be a part of their journey. It just does something to me. So the foundation is twofold. It's for the caregivers and it's for me. So, and
That's what I figured. That's what I wanted
yeah,
to hear, that this
yeah,
is this is what she's doing for her living, if that makes sense, but it's also still to honor her mom and her legacy and her memory. And I'm really grateful that you took the time to be here on the Kim Jacobs Show today and show how you're balancing even beyond when dementia takes a person from this earth. But and
oh,
we all are going to transition from this earth
yeah,
anyway. We know that. So I'm not
yeah,
afraid of death, and especially when you have someone so close to you that passes away, it changes your philosophy on how you deal with accepting that death is inevitable. So
yeah.
we understand that. But I love how you're keeping your mom's memory alive. Thank you for doing that.
And
Thank you.
one of the big things that we do also during our monthly meetups, finding someone to sit with your loved one can be challenging,
Mhm.
and then the financial aspect of it can be challenging as well. So going into 2024, we received another United Way grant, and so we are going to continue. We started this past year. We will make arrangements for someone to come and sit with your loved one. We work with several home health care agencies. So we do the legwork. We find someone to come and sit with your loved one, and we pay for them to come and sit with your loved one while you come to the monthly meetup. So that's one less thing you have to worry about when you're enjoying yourself and spending some time with other caregivers. Your loved one is taken care of financially, and a qualified person is there to take care of them. All you have to do is just come and enjoy yourself for 5 hours.
That is such a blessing. So it's a one-stop shop type of
Yes,
situation, everybody.
yes.
Listen, all you need to do is reach out to Vernita, let them know where they can reach out to you, and then I'm going to pop you up, Pam, and hear about how they can connect with you from your business coaching perspective. Okay,
Okay.
Vernita?
Yep. So our website is www.frankiemayfoundation.com. There are tabs on there where you can click and send us a notice in our email, and we will get back in touch with you within 48 hours and get you connected to what you need to be connected to.
Woohoo! I'm so glad we took this extra time on today's episode. So this is very important. Pamela Lue-Hing, you have before I just let me do this because I want to make sure people see there is so much to Pam, okay? And you're hearing her story right now regarding her mom, but I do want you to know that when you visit with any of the sites that she shares with you, you're going to be meeting a powerhouse coach, speaker, author. Pamela R. Lue-Hing is a power in motion super specialist, in my opinion. And I want to make sure that you see just what you'll get when you get one of the press kits. You're going to learn more about her, what she does, what are the services she offers, the publications that she has. All of this information will be sent to you in a PDF that you can learn more about. So, Pam, talk to us, if you would, about what you do outside of caring for your mom.
So before I do that, I have to take a personal privilege and thank Vernita publicly for the work that she's doing with the Frankie May Foundation. Because of the work that she's doing, I'm able to be a better me. That's priceless. I'm able to feel like I have support. And so, Vernita, thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing, because I attend those monthly meetups and I have someone come in. And so I'm a recipient of all the blessings that are coming through the foundation. So thank you. Regarding what I do professionally, I am equally, I would say, well, my mom is my heart, and then of course my children are Alante and Carrington. But what I do with coaches is I'm just very passionate about it. I am a disruptor in comfort zones for coaches, because when I can equip a coach, whether you are a life coach, business coach, health and wellness coach, relationship coach, finance, career, whatever type of coach you are, we've got to have the tools necessary. And a lot of times we're not able to reach the people that God has assigned to us because we're not in position to do so. So we have a one-stop shop with the Coach with Confidence Online Academy. It's a 90-day academy. And so one-stop shop where coaches can come and not just learn how to coach, but also learn how to run a business as a coach. And so I teach entrepreneurship to coaches, and we help you by putting your business in order with systems, structures, and strategies. So our team literally develops your brand, we develop your website, and I teach you how to put it all together and automate your processes so that you can focus on doing what God is calling you to do. So that's what we do. We're passionate about what we do because we know when we can touch one coach, that coach is touching the masses.
Amen.
And so how do people get coaching sessions with you?
Yes. So I would invite anyone who is, number one, if you are a brand new coach or you're considering coaching, or you have been in a field for a very long time and you have an expertise and you're saying, I want to be able to share my expertise, the academy would be for you, to teach you how to create a program. How do I package my brilliance and take it to the marketplace? That's what we specialize in. So for those new people, we also really focus on those current coaches who are in the industry, because it's very disjointed when you look at, okay, how do I build my business? How do I build an audience? How do I build my credibility? How do I build my story? How do I tell my story, right? So for coaches, they need that support. And what we do is we work with them. So they can go to www.powerhouseinmotion.com and schedule a breakthrough session with me. They can do that. And then stay tuned, because we have several boot camps coming up this month. So they can join me, of course, on Instagram, Lue-Hing, and the announcements will be there as well.
Perfect. So listen, you're getting like 2-in-1 when it comes to dealing with Pamela Lue-Hing. She can help you regarding resources and tools that she has to connect with as she provides caregiving to her mom, but then also she can help you from a business entrepreneurial coaching perspective. You are in a win-win situation when you connect with Pamela Lue-Hing. So I am encouraging you, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you are caring for an aging parent, regardless of what the disease state is, that should be like mandatory that you connect with Pamela Lue-Hing.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. And Kim, I have to take another personal privilege to thank you for the work that you're doing with the Kim Jacobs show. It's a ministry for you.
Oh,
And
wait. I'm gonna put this. I gotta put so into it. Maybe while you saying your comment. Go ahead.
there you are.
That's right. That's
Your
right.
ministry, Kim, because you're doing a great work. You're connecting with so many people, and just the information today, I'm sure, will bless so many people. You know, with the Frankie May Foundation, the work that Vernita is doing, it's just so important, and you're doing a very important work for this community and the world, because people chime in to your show all over the world. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Thank you for being here today as my special guest. I saw so many more comments. Did you have another comment that you wanted to make, Vernita?
No, I was just going to ditto everything that Pamela said. I really appreciate this platform. And, you know, when Pam and I had lunch the other day, just talking about getting the word out and making people aware of certain things that are going on in the community. So I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront and talking about it. Some things we try to sweep up under the rug, but the statistics that you said at the beginning of the show, this can't be swept under the rug. We have to talk about it. And I appreciate you for having this.
Well, thank you. And I definitely, after we finish, I'm going to be inviting you all to be Freestyle Friday experts talking about caring for caregivers. So know that that's going to be an invitation coming your way, and I'll talk to you about that backstage. But listen, anybody that wants to pour into the ministry, and I do consider this a ministry of helping bring balance to the world one household at a time, then you can do that through $ Kim Jacobs Inc. And that's that's right through Cash App. So you can just send any Cash App, and that helps me be able to take care of staff and all of this stuff that keeps the production going. Or you can go to paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. And that's for the audio podcast listeners. Stay connected with Pamela Lue-Hing, and it's powerhouseinmotion.com, powerhouseinmotion.com. And definitely stay connected with the Frankie May Foundation.com. I don't care if you're in the Charlotte or in surrounding areas. This is a global show, so you may be somewhere else around the world. Reach out and see what can be done through this Fannie Mae Foundation. It is a global organization. It is not a local organization. So I can tell you whatever needs to happen for that to be the case, so Zooms and other things can happen, so that no person is left behind regarding dementia. And I'm becoming your agent over here now, right? You're like, girl, I'm connecting you to some people too right after the show.
Okay. And Kim, I did want to say this as well. Even though my mom had Alzheimer's, the foundation is open to any caregiver. So if you're caring for someone with cancer, kidney disease, heart disease, whatever the illness is, it doesn't matter. You're a caregiver. So it's not just for Alzheimer's caregivers.
I am so glad you said that, because when you said Village Heartbeat, I know I spoke there as a keynote speaker regarding my son when he transitioned. So I know that there are organizations that you're linked to that's not only dealing with dementia. So thank you for saying that. And thank you all for being here for the extended period of time. I consider this a special episode, and not too often do I go beyond the noonday time, but this is perfect. Betty said, and some of these people typed a lot, they'll be hot. They'll be like, we ain't watching your show no more. I know you saw how much I typed, Kim. So I have to say this. Let's see. My beautiful sister, you are so awesome with the patients and the job that you do. I love it. I had the opportunity to care for my mother-in-law with dementia for a couple of weeks, and it was not easy. So kudos to all the caregivers is what Betty is saying. Angela said, this is definitely great resources. That was the most difficult step after the diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So the Fannie Mae Foundation is something that everybody, time they get the diagnosis, need to be reaching out to you. Right. And everybody needs to be referring people to Fannie Mae Foundation.
Frankie Mae.
Oh, what am I saying? Fannie Mae. I'm talking about some. Y'all got me thrown off. I have 5 kids, right? And it's all about the education. Okay, this is a bloops and blunder moment. Y'all can cut this out right here and play it on your different things and say Kim Jacobs Show, bloops and blunders. I'm talking all about what scholarships and stuff. Is that what I'm talking about, Fannie Mae? Oh. It's about financial stuff because I have kids just graduated from Chapel Hill, one at UNC Charlotte. So I got all these college students, and I'm forever saying something about Fannie Mae.
It's okay. It's okay.
But anyway, it's going to be. Let me put the right stuff. Please don't go to Fannie Mae regarding this. We're going to
Frankie May.
Frankie May. Frankie May Foundation.com. And that's in honor of this lovely woman, Miss Frankie May.
And Kim, I'm glad you said as soon as they get the diagnosis to reach out. A lot of times caregivers don't reach out until they are in crisis mode. So thank you for saying, as soon as you get that diagnosis, reach out. You may not think you need resources right then, but go ahead, get plugged in, find out what's out there. So when that time comes, you're already 2 steps ahead in the game.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm great. I'm grateful for all of the availability, the resources, your story. I'm grateful for all of the comments that's come in. So FrankieMayFoundation.com. Let's see. I see. Okay. I'm going to have to probably cut it off because thank you for the great information. It's okay, girl. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Angela, I'm going to definitely put your comment up. Thank you. We need that too. Yes, we do need that. I actually have a friend that helped my son get $20,000 in scholarships. Her name is Sean Hall, and you can tell her that I referred you over to her, and she helps get some funding as long as the students do exactly what she's instructed them to do and answering all the questions. So definitely all roads education is what they're called. That's true. That's true. All right, everybody. The compliments, beautiful photos, great show. Oh, you're talking about your dad being a heart recipient. Guess what? This young lady in her 80s is one of the longest living heart transplant recipients, Miss Mother Julia Harper. She has a 16-year-old young man's heart beating in her chest for over 20-something years.
Wow.
You're typing on social media.
That is amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, Mother Harper, for taking the time to type on social media and being in the studio audience at 80.
That is amazing.
Okay. Somebody said, "What? Y'all still live?" Okay, good. I got back. I'm back in here. All right. We get ready to cut it. We get ready to cut it off, though. Sexy Scorpio. We doing the most. We got to get off. All right, everybody. Wow, this is wonderful. I see all your comments. I thank you all for being active participants on this episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. Thank you, Vernita. Thank you, Pamela. And again, check out Frankie May Foundation, FrankieMayFoundation.com. And stay connected with Pamela Lue-Hing, especially as a business entrepreneur and as a person that's caring for an aging parent. PowerhouseInMotion.com. All right, that's it. We're getting ready to close out. I want to put Pam's mom back up one more time, Miss Velma Wilson, beauty that she is, and Miss Frankie May, the beauty. Y'all have some beautiful mamas. My goodness, beautiful mamas. All right, y'all. Look at her. She like, I got you. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be having our Freestyle Friday experts coming up. One is a woman that's blind, and she's going to be talking to you about vision. One is going to be talking to you about funding. It's a lot of different Freestyle Friday experts coming up. You want to tune into that episode as well. Have a great one, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience.